6 o'clock, let's start the meeting. The Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, sir, can we do a roll call, please?
Mayor Dino,
Here.
Trustee Bowden,
Here.
Trustee Hudson,
Here.
Trustee Richards.
Here.
Trustee Sandberg.
Here.
Trustee Sluse.
Here.
Trustee Sturba.
Here. All right, we have a consent agenda. We have to approve minutes of the May 12th regular meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. Right over that, sorry. Public comments.
A few things I'd like to go over with the board. First thing is about the electric scooters in town. I missed the meeting last week. I said, something's gonna happen. It's not if, it's when, and sure enough, right in front of my house, girl got hit and broke some toes and stuff like that. So I'm, just some ideas that I'm throwing around is something that where helmets are mandatory for 12 and under. I know by law, to some of the officers, there's like, you're supposed to be 16 or 18. Well, that can't be. Kids will be driving cars at that age. They're not taking scooters around. And plus, these parents spend $300, $400 per scooter. So maybe a speed limit put on them. Obey the laws. That has to be stressed. When there's a stop sign, they have to, just like they're driving a regular vehicle, they should come to stops. And maybe there can be, you can't ticket them, but maybe they can do some type of fine, maybe a $15 fine that code enforcement officer brings to the parent's house and says, your kid was speeding or not wearing a helmet, he's under 12, he's gotta have a helmet on. Just something to, for you guys to consider, because I don't think we were prepared for this 3 years ago when nobody had scooters, and now everybody is. So that was just my first thing. Also, my second one was, I know a couple of the other towns have a quiet zone time for their trains from 9 p.m. till 6 a.m. I know Stager has it, Beecher has it, and I know the people that live right along there, I think it'll increase the value of their homes, and some of these residents, they tell me, they go, it drives me crazy because it's going at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and they're just blaring the horns. So if we could maybe adopt something like they have, those towns, from 9 to 6, a quiet time. The dummy police car that's parked on Pietro Wilmington Road. I think it needs to be moved either in town or by the liquor store, because that's where the crime activity is going. I don't think, I've been here 15 years, I've never seen an accident over there by that area. Now, there might be some speeders coming through, but I think having it by the liquor store or in town here somewhere, high visibility, is gonna help things out a little bit, might deter, especially after what happened last night. Also, water. I know that Mantino and Kankakee is giving out water to residents. I was wondering if our town might do the same thing.
Aqua is giving out water.
Are they?
We have, up on the counter over there, I printed the locations where you can pick up the water in Mantino and Monique. They don't have it in our town.
Oh, that, okay. Oh, that was their
Available
call.
to anybody. The printout said that it was available for people with babies 6 months and under.
Right.
But I spoke with Aqua today, and they said they're not gonna argue with anybody. If somebody wants water,
Sure.
they're gonna give it to them.
Right, and you don't have to show up with a baby, that'd be ridiculous. And then, lastly, probably the most important, there's a dead tree in front of Game On Sports Bar. I was thinking we need to get a new tree in there, maybe an apple tree. Be nice to walk by and pick an apple as you're walking down the restructured downtown. But those are just the things that I wanted to bring up. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You said you talked to Aqua Water? Did you ask them why they don't bring it here?
So they wouldn't bring the water
Yeah.
distribution. They picked, for our area of their system, they picked the 3 areas that are easily gotten to by the residents. They don't have the amount of water to bring it to every city that they do business in. So they tried to spread it out evenly to keep,
12.2 miles, one way from here to there and back, that's almost 25 miles. That's a gallon of gas. They give one case of water.
I was not aware of that.
Pardon?
I was not aware of this one case.
They give one case per day. Mantino's 8 miles away. When you make the turn, go from here, I was here today, talked to a lady in the office. I said, have you even made a phone call and say, hey, why does Peatone? We have aqua water here, which is not the best quality anyway. Here's another question for you. I was gone for 3 months this winter. I live in Gull Landings. And I called Aqua and I said, can you shut my water off because we're not going to be here January, February, or March. Yes, your bill will only be $112 in January. No water. February we paid $100.58. March we paid $103. That's for sewer. That's because there's pipes in the ground. That makes no sense. So I implore you to make a phone call and say, the people in the village of Peatone should have water here so they don't have to travel a 15 miles in a round trip or 25 miles in a round trip. Because they're not gaining a thing. They give you one case of water and it costs you is more in gas, not even including your time.
On that same subject with Aqua, when I did speak with them today, they said, judging from all the tests that they have done over the weekend and through today, the warning should be lifted, hopefully tomorrow, Wednesday at the latest, and the water is safe to drink even at this point. They believe it should be fine to drink, but they can't lift the
I suggest you
warning.
tell them to give us vouchers. You can go to Burkhoff's. You get 4 cases for $12, $3 a case. I know you see on the agenda, Homewood Disposal, Star Disposal, whatever you're gonna call it. If you call them and you're gone for 3 months, a minimum of a month, they don't charge you a penny, because no pickup. I think we're being railroaded with Aqua. The village mayor was there at it opened at 12 o'clock, from 12 until 7. That gives any residents in all these cities only 7 hours to get water for their kids or for their family. Now, they didn't open until 12:07. I was the second car in line. And the mayor was there, and he's making some spiel that hopefully they can buy the water back, or with whoever made the choice. I know it wasn't you, it was prior to your administration. I've only been here about 3 years, but I'm thinking that we ought to have enough guts to say, hey, Peatone is on the list. Bring water here, whether they have to bring it to the water tower, bring it to the high school, bring it to the village hall, and have someone here those 7 hours passing out water. That's all I have. I'm bummed about the water. Came from Orland Park about 3.5 years ago. Our water and our garbage was together. We paid about $60 every 2 months. I hope nobody here has a swimming pool. Can you imagine what that would cost you? Are you gonna do something about it?
Well, do you plan on talking to them again? That's it all along.
All I'm asking is, will someone make a call and say, get the water here, so you don't have to spend your money on gas to get water for an open end? Thank you. And that's not Julie Sleuth, that should be her there.
No, it got switched.
Trustee got switched. Thank you.
Any public comments? Okay. Our consent agenda is to approve the minutes of the May 12th, 2025 regular village board meeting, approve the payroll accounts payable, approve an amplifier permit, for June 28th, 2025 at 721 Hickory Street from the hours of 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Approve a special event for St. Paul the Apostle Church for their Eucharistic procession on June 22nd at 11:30 a.m. on Conrad Street. The road closure for procession only, Conrad south of the parking lot, and exit Crawford and Crawford east to West Street, and then return to this, on the same route back to the church. Having a motion to approve these.
Motion. Second. Motion by trustee
Motion.
Sandberg, second by Richard.
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
Trustee Richards?
Yes.
Trustee Sandberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
We got staff committee reports. Chief, anything? It's been a busy day for the chief.
Yeah, I'll give you just a quick update on where we are with the incident that occurred last night. As I'm sure everybody knows, we had 7 businesses that were broken into early this morning. The midnight shift did a really good job last night. Actually, they were in the area, and then Detective Miller has done a good job this morning. So with the flock cameras that we have, the car entered our town that was used for the burglaries at 4:42 and 17 seconds. The car then went to Game On, which was the first place that they hit at 4:44. The alarm was deactivated by the owner and was not sent to us. They then, at 4:44, they hit Game On. 4:44 and a half, they hit Archie's. They then left there and went to Subway. They hit Subway at 4:48. Euro Local at 4:49 and a half. The liquor store at 4:50. The alarm, we were dispatched to our first alarm. First knowledge we had that anything was broken into was 4:51 and 32 seconds. The officer drove by. We had an officer who drove by the plaza about 8 minutes earlier from when the place got broken into. All the cars have GPS. So when people say that the officers aren't there, they're sitting around the slide because I checked. So the officer was there 8 minutes prior to the place being broken into. We then had a phone call. Somebody saw Game On being broken into. One of the officers actually entered into Game On, which then we received an alarm at 4:52, which was the officer setting an alarm off at Game On. So we had one officer at the liquor store at 4:51 and one officer inside Game On at 4:52. We then, at 4, so we have only 2 officers working. One is in Game On, one is inside the liquor store. They're both clearing places by themselves. Not supposed to happen. Then we get an alarm call at the BP gas station at 4:57. They broke into the BP gas station at 4:54. We request additional units for Will County. Crete came, and then also Will County came, right?
Yes, sir.
And then we get an alarm call at 4:59 and 45 seconds from Tony's. So they broke into BP at 4:54, broke into Tony's at 4:54 and a half. So Crete and Will County handled those for us. We had to clear out the building. So they entered our town at 4:42, and they were gone by 4:55. So they hit 7 businesses in 11 minutes.
Wow.
Jeez.
So, Detective Miller's done a lot of work on this. We've recovered all of the cash registers. We've recovered the car that was reported stolen, and we're working on catching the people that did it. So once we find more information, I'll update everybody.
Thank you, Chief. Bob?
Just a couple things. Conrad Street storm sewer begins this week. It's a project.
You move a little closer, buddy?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Conrad Street storm sewer project begins this week. There will be some temporary closures. We'll try to keep you updated when I get the info. Staff, a few weeks back, we had that big storm come through town. I thought staff did an excellent job with the cleanup. The goal was to get it done by Memorial Day. We were done by then, so. We had 15 loads of debris, about 100 cubic yards of chips. So,
Fine work.
yep, so, that's all I got.
Yeah, you guys did my house, 201 Crawford, the tree fund. Terrific job, Al,
Thank you.
that's for sure.
Sure.
So, one public service announcement, the village has two TIFs in a business development district, TIF 1, TIF 2, and the BDD. And each year we have to file a report with the state that this is per the TIF Act in Illinois, and it's just reporting basic facts about the TIFs and if there's any potential conflict of interest declarations. So we're gonna be doing that, so that's just a routine thing that we do each year that'll be taken care of. The other thing is, I let the trustees and the mayor know, but working with Robinson Engineering, there are grants that have come available throughout the year, competitive grants, so we put in an application for a total amount of 1.9 million we're seeking for South Street. This is one of the projects that's on our capital improvement plan, and this would be an opportunity to fix the road, fix the storm sewer, deal with some sidewalk issues and things like that. This has been very highly publicized, so we've been told there's gonna be a lot of applications, but you can't win if you don't play, so we're put in for that. And then recently, the board began a update of its building codes. We had a building committee meeting where we started that process, and there's a few more steps, but this is bringing our code in line with where it needs to be per the state law, so more to come on that. So that's it for now. Thanks.
Very good. Comments from me. I just want to mention, before coming into the office of mayor, things I said I would be doing. I did meet with Aqua a few weeks ago. They're holding firm on their pricing and for sewer and water. They believe that if they gave us a discount or anything, they'd have to give it site-wide, and I think, in my opinion, they should give it to everybody site-wide. That was the first thing I also mentioned earlier, that I spoke with them today about the water, and they're hoping to have it a clear go tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. I have been going over the budget. It looks, everything's looking pretty good so far. I'm not too concerned about what I'm finding. We've been going over some contracts with the employees of the village. Sportsman's Club's been a hot topic lately, and we've been digging into that a lot. And we hope to have some answers on that within the next few weeks and try and get that resolved. We did meet with the school district on the water problem on where they want to put the ball fields. We didn't come to any conclusion on that at this point, but we did go out to the site, we walked the site, and got a better idea of what the problem is. And lastly, one of the other things I mentioned before coming in office was getting wayfinding signs for the village. Those are the signs that kind of tell you where business is where the downtown is at and whatnot. I did get some pricing on that. So far, they're quite high, so I'm gonna be looking a little further into that because they push upwards of $10,000 a piece, so. And I don't think we want to do that. And that's it for my comments. Do we have any old business? No? New business. We're presenting a certificate of appreciation for Detective Miller for years of service to the village of Peatone. Detective Miller, would you like to come up here, please? Detective Miller, tonight we recognize Detective Gary Miller for 25 years of service to the village of Peatone. Beyond his skill as an investigator, Gary has been a trusted, familiar face in our community, always ready to lend a hand and listen and serve with a heart. I personally remember the compassion and professionalism he showed to my family. Sorry about this one. Brings up the emotion that he showed our family during our time of need. His dedication over the years has helped to make Peatone not just safer, but stronger. So I present the certificate of appreciation for your 25 years of service. Need to approve a special event for Hanson's Dugout and Archie's Sweet Treats for their cruise nights. They're at 209 and 210 North 2nd Street for all Thursdays through October 30th. Chief, do you have any comments on the cruise nights?
There's a fan there. So we've had 2 cruise nights. The first one had 40-some cars with no issues, and the last one the weather was kind of iffy. There wasn't a lot of cars. I've been to both of them. A lot of cars, but we've had no issues at all at either one of them.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
I'd like to comment on it also.
Okay.
Now, this ain't a Peatone Car Club event, which if it was, I couldn't vote on it. So, but I just want to hope everybody understands that, come on out and enjoy the event. People ask me, what's going on at the bowling? I'm like, well, it's not my event, I had the same thing last weekend with Tri Chevy. I get emails, texts, what's going on at your event? Not my event, but I'm glad they come out to Peatone to enjoy these car events, and we look forward to having some more of them.
We do advise anyone who's planning on having an event in the village to please contact the village before you start advertising it, just so that everything's ready for you to have your event.
Are there any other events on those Thursday nights that are scheduled in Peatone that would affect?
None that I'm aware of.
I know the Sip and Stroll for the Peatone Chamber is September 11th. That's a Thursday. So I just don't know how many cars.
So I think Rick is here. I can't see him where I'm sitting, but his businesses participate in that event, so they won't be able to have, well, depending on what happens with that event, because last year we had it there was still construction ongoing, so all the streets were closed down. If we close all the streets, then that would limit the vehicles that come to that cruise night from parking, by his place, but we may have to massage the route there. And I think in the one year they did it, they just were on sidewalks. I think it might be good. Well, we need to have that conversation whether we want to close the streets for that and let people walk in the streets or not. But the one thing, and this is not about this particular application, but just in general, we've had a couple events with some questions. I think this may warrant just reviewing our process on events and what other things we may want to require or not require. And any events that are bringing people into the village and into the downtown is great. It's creating hopefully business opportunities for our local businesses, recreational opportunities for our residents, but we just want to make sure we've thought through, and some mundane things as having porta potties. If you don't have a local business that's opening up their doors to you, we might want to make that a requirement and specify when you need to do that. The publication of notices before, making sure people know that they have to get an approval for these type of events and what's required. And then if they contact the village, as the mayor said, the police chief and I can talk to the applicant and say, we might need to close the street because for safety reasons. And sometimes the applicant may say, well, I don't really need to close the street, but we may just feel safer or better about keeping pedestrians safe, because that's the goal, is to bring people in and have a safe, good time. So, but we will work through to your question, Trustee Sluse, on any other events that may be going on at the same time to make sure they all work, so.
Okay.
Get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Sturba, second by trustee Sluse. Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
Trustee Richards?
Yes.
Trustee Sandberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
I need to approve a business registration for Family Healthcare Clinic, 106 West Main Street, Unit B, Peatone. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hudson, second by trustee Sturba.
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Richards?
Yes.
Trustee Sandberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
So what are we discussing right now? Anything?
Okay.
I presume we're all here about lack of water.
For ordinance 25-05, we need to approve the ordinance implementing municipal grocery retailers occupational tax and municipal grocery service occupation tax. Can I get a motion on?
Can you explain what's going on?
You probably want to explain that.
Okay, the grocery tax is something that the state of Illinois has decided this coming January to eliminate. It makes them look good, but unfortunately, by them eliminating that tax, it takes money away from all the villages. I've got 4.5 pages of villages that have already signed back on to creating their own ordinance to keep the tax in place. We need to keep our tax in place until we find a replacement for it. Because losing it, right off the bat, we'd take $160,000 out of our budget. If they had done that, there's a lot of things we're gonna have to scrap off of our budget. We can't afford to do that. It's not a new tax. It's the same tax that we've been paying for many, many, many years.
Does he have a
And
microphone?
we need to keep it in place for a little longer until we find a replacement, and hopefully we can bring in enough business that we don't have to even think about it anymore, we can just get rid of it.
Is there any idea of maybe just lowering, not quite having it as high as it was before, maybe 3/4 of what it was?
It's 1%.
Instead of replicating it?
It's 1%,
Okay,
so for every $100, it's $1.
right.
We can consider it, but,
I guess 75 cents, for instance, 3/4 of what it was.
Or just too keen to go get a hearing aid. And the price.
What is the,
To me, a quarter on $100 really makes not a lot of difference on a $100 grocery bill. It's,
Well, and this is what it's been
You
forever.
can use that
This is
same
what we-
argument
it is
to
what
raise
we
it a
paid.
quarter then.
but this is what we paid for years. And the only reason they took it down was it was a political stunt by J.B. Pritzker. And that's all it was. I mean, $1 on $100, you can go to Indiana and not pay the tax, but I don't think you can get there for $1.
so this tax, actually, this is unfortunate, but this is what the state has done on a few things. Goes back to 1990, and there was a whole compromise legislation in Springfield to create this, and it gave a local funding source to the local municipalities, which pay for our police, our public works, our staff. And unfortunately, it is a little bit of a gimmick because the state cut it, but then they're cutting funding that comes to us, and none of this goes to them. And the other important thing, I mean, the mayor mentioned already, it's not a new tax, it's sustaining, but it's also, these aren't all paid by Peatone residents. There's other communities nearby that people come here and shop, and that's revenue that comes into our community, which is greatly needed. And hopefully that will continue to grow in the future as new businesses come into town. It's not just the grocery store, it's the convenience stores and things, but it's, as the mayor said, this is something we can revisit in the future, and if we have other revenue streams, that would offset that. That some communities have the benefit of having lots of retail, and that's where they can end up ultimately giving some property tax relief at the local level, but right now we have a lot of needs, infrastructure and other things, so.
I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Sluse, second by trustee Richards.
Vice versa.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't looking up when I.
No, it's okay.
Trustee Richards?
Yes, here.
Trustee
yes.
Sanders?
Yeah.
Sandberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Oh.
We're gonna have open a discussion on the electronic scooters, enforcement of local ordinance. Chief, I need you to step in on this one again.
So, Kirk, let's go with what's in your packet. So, the first thing is just a kind of a summation. The second thing is from IML, what IML recommends. The third is an IML ordinance. The next couple pages is just if you want to do a campaign to let people know if you're going to do something in-house, you know, or if you're not going to do it. Just an example of some things. I know the wording isn't quite right. It's just an overall look, some things that we could do that we could put out in the community. And then the last thing in the packet is actually the law that the state of Illinois passed. So currently, 18 years old, if it goes over 10 miles an hour, you need a Class M license. 18 years old, can't drive on sidewalks, can't drive in the street. The village cannot give you permission. Right now, the village, we don't have any way to give you permission. The village would have to create an ordinance if that's what they choose to do, to give you permission to drive on their streets. We have no right to drive on county roads or state roads. We do not have the authority to do that. The village could create an ordinance to drive on their streets, but that's up to you. So that's, I mean, you have some options, but you have to figure out what you guys want to do. It's here because some of the trustees have brought it up to me, and so has the mayor. We have had 2 accidents with children hit by cars. Paramedics have been called for all of them. 3 kids have been seen by paramedics. So, and it's just beginning of summer. So, and I'm sure everybody has seen scooters, and I bet you haven't seen one person go under 10 miles an hour on the scooters. So in the police department, we need, you know, some guidance on which direction you want us to go with this. I'm here if you need further discussion, but that's what all the information that I provided you.
I witnessed again
Oh.
today.
And a lot of information. Lieutenant Moore did a lot of research on this for me as well. Just let you know.
I witnessed some of the abuse of that today, just watching 2 young ladies riding their scooters down the middle of the road. There's traffic behind them. The one finally moves over. The car starts to go around them. They decide to turn left right in front of the car. Never looked at the car. Never turned back. The car had hit their brakes to avoid hitting them. It's getting very dangerous out there. We want to get something in place before somebody gets hurt. We don't want to see any child get hit by a car and get killed. I mean, that's what it's working up to at this point. We want to nip this in the bud early, so we're going to work on our ordinance for that.
I've seen them in the downtown area, and they ride them on the sidewalks downtown, and they're not riding in they're pretty much going full bore on them. If we have a patron come out of one of the businesses, I don't think they got enough time to stop. And somebody could get hit coming out of the business, so. And I know there is an ordinance downtown currently for no bicycles on the sidewalks downtown. So,
There is.
yeah, there has been for a long time. So, and
Amend that one too.
you know, I mean, it's something we need
Yeah.
to look at through code.
The scooters can be turned down. And kids, certain kids, I guess, depends, wouldn't be able to figure out how to turn them back up. So, that is one option for like
They're quite a
speed.
trend, I know that. And maybe we just.
I mean, yes, my children have them,
Yeah.
and my husband turns the speed down on the two older ones and even further down for the youngest one.
You know, maybe we gotta watch in the downtown area where people are trying to go through, you know, get the businesses, maybe they shouldn't be allowed there, or walk through there if they're going to Archie's or something, or another business.
Right, you have to walk your scooter if you're downtown.
You know,
I mean, I don't like them on the streets.
No, I think they're equally as dangerous on the streets, but,
Sidewalks would be better. I mean, I know like there's pedestrians walking, but that's just like a kid going on a bike, coming up to a pedestrian, they have to stop, they have to go around. A kid would
Yeah.
just have to slow down. And that also is on parents,
Right.
teaching the kids
A lot of this is
how
on
to do
parents,
that.
talking to their kids on proper use of these things. And obviously, that's not seem to be good done, they just buy it to them, buy it for them, give them the keys to it or whatever, and go have fun on it. And we need to have our ordinance in place so we get this all under control.
It's, Mayor, if I may, so currently, if it's one that goes over 10 miles an hour, and we stop you, the police, what we have to write somebody, say you're 15 years old, we write you for 6101, no val DL, and 3707, no insurance, that means you don't get a driver's license till you're 21 years old. So you have a kid driving a scooter who no longer can get a driver's license till they're 21. I don't think that's what we wanna do as a village to somebody,
Right.
but that's currently what the option is. That's what the state has left the police department's option.
Have we done any safety classes? I know it's a bad timing right now because we're not in school, but has Officer Stakus done anything with the schools and talked to these kids about scooter? Okay, that's one option. It's late, I know, they're out. And we talk about these kids that the parents don't, they give a scooter, they don't teach them the rules. We do, they don't listen. My kids don't listen. No cop, no stop is some of their philosophies, but that's what they do. So, how do we fix it? I don't know yet, but I like the open, I like the discussion.
I do like the training in the schools, teach the kids, like, have the officer explain it to them and show them the rules of the road and all that, and I like that idea.
yeah, it might even be helpful for bicycles also.
Yeah,
So
Can
last year there was a problem with golf carts, right?
Yeah.
And then you guys kind of went pretty public with, hey,
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
okay. And then it seems like golf carts have gotten better.
I think so.
Yeah. So I think this is one of those things, we just want to get the word out to everybody that this stuff that's going on isn't allowed. I think it's a trick bag if you start trying to legislate this really hard. You're gonna have 1,000 mothers and fathers up here screaming at you that the police just ruined their chance to get their driver's license. So I would tread carefully on this one and just try to get compliance as opposed to enforcement. I think they did a nice job with the golf carts. I think they can do the same thing if we just,
I agree, I just wanna try and make sure nobody gets hurt.
Part of this is, what Chief is saying is, we don't have anything on the books locally, and this is a discussion to start that conversation so that we can put some in the books, because otherwise, his officers could be in the box of having to write that ticket that limits somebody getting their driver's license.
So we do need a new one.
Having some local rules would kind of
So,
supersede that kind of, would it?
like, in the IMO packet, they're talking, if the board doesn't wanna adopt a whole ordinance allowing scooters, at least adopt something that we could write for the scooters besides the license violation. Because our current ordinance for scooters isn't electric bike scooters, it's the old school scooters. Because our ordinances have not caught up with technology.
So are you suggesting that the IML is maybe the route to go, what they've put together?
I didn't understand that, sorry.
The IML ordinance information that they put out, are you suggesting that something along those guidelines is the way to go?
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting anything.
Well then,
I'm simply pointing out is IML gave you an ordinance, but I think in that letter that IML provided, they recommend that you do not create an ordinance, because if the village, this is what they said, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, if the village creates an ordinance and says, okay, we say you have to be 15 years old to ride on our streets, and then a 15-year-old gets run over and killed by a car, we are now liable because we created something that is less restrictive than what the state says. So that's I believe what IML, that's what IML said, right? That would be an attorney question, but I believe that's what IML recommended.
Yes, there is potential liability when you adopt the ordinance and allow it and have certain regulations. There would be an increase of potential liability.
I mean, so we definitely need to do something, however, the schools are out now, so that's gonna make that more difficult, to do the training. I mean, there's a lot of information here, of rules that may or may not be something that wanna be adopted. And, you know, I know this is just a discussion, but I think we probably have to, in-house, we have to go through this and fine tune it and come back to the board with, this is a recommendation, and then maybe go through that, because, you know, there's no way we're gonna be able to go through all that at a board meeting.
Right. So we'll send it to a committee, and we'll try and get some answers hammered out.
Yeah.
Moving on to resolution 25R-10. Approve the resolution authorizing the execution and addendum to a residential refuse agreement with Homewood Disposal Services, doing business as Star Disposal for residential refuse and recycling services. Get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve addendum number 2 of that information.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hudson, second by trustee Sluse. Trustee Sandberg,
Yes.
trustee Sluse,
Yes.
trustee Sturba,
Yes.
trustee Hudson,
Yes.
trustee Bowden,
Yes.
trustee Richards.
Yes.
Moving on to ordinance number 25-06. Approve the ordinance amending a chapter 30 of the Village of Peatone relative to standing committees of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Peatone. Can I get a motion to approve?
Again, can you explain what we're doing?
Yeah, so with each new mayoral term, or every 2 years we elect new trustees, there usually is a reset or a reaffirmation of the committee structure. So with the new mayor and some new trustees or re-elected trustees, the mayor has made appointments to committees, which is in your packet. As we were preparing for that, we discovered that our village code was a little bit outdated, some of the terminology, which we could all figure out what it means when they're talking about alleys and things like that's public works, but rather than have different names for what we actually have, we're updating the code just to reflect the committees that we do have or would like to have, and those are Administrative Oversight Committee, also referred to as AOC, the Building Committee, Economic Development Committee, Police and Public Safety Committee, and the Public Works Committee. So those with this action, will be updated in our code under the committee section, and we'll move forward with what the mayor has proposed and we're operating under. The other thing I just wanted to point out is that there is another section of the code that deals with things like the Christmas, I forget the exact title, but the Christmas like special committee, which is like trustee Serba chairs that, and we have outside community partners. And there's some other historic committees that were created or listed in the code. Some of those, one is related to economic development. We may want to just clean up the code and eliminate that, since we have an economic development committee here at the board level. And there's some other things like health, it says like a health committee or something like that, that we really don't have a health department here. We have a county health department, so that's for another day. But this is at least just cleaning up the code as we move forward. And I think that's it, so I don't know if there's any questions, so.
So we'll have ALC, Public Works, Building, Police and Public Safety?
Yeah, AOC, Building Committee, Economic Development, Police and Public Safety, and Public Works, so there's 5 total. And the other thing I just want to mention is this, I've not been told we have to take official action to do this, but there was an ad hoc downtown committee. Those functions I distributed to the trustees previously. We don't need to take action per se, but the descriptions of what those committees do, we were thinking of putting that information, once we refined a little more, on the website, just so that the public wants to know what committee handles what, they can get it. If we need to refer to what committee handles what, it's there. But ad hoc committees can always be created as needed, that's why they're ad hoc. But then usually they come to an end and you get rid of them. But these are standing committees that we believe are going to have usefulness for the committee for issues that come before them. But again, if we have some new issue in the future, we can always create an ad hoc, or we can add another standing committee if need be. So some of this is just housekeeping, and I imagine as we go forward, we're going to find, well, I know there's some other things out there that need to be just refreshed or updated, and so this probably won't be the last, I can guarantee it won't be the last ordinance you see updating the code, so that's fine.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Bowden, second by trustee Sluse. Trustee Sluse?
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Richards?
Yes.
Trustee Sandberg?
Yes.
We're gonna close this and go to,
We need a motion to go into closed session.
need a motion to go into closed executive session.
Motion.
Second.
He's got to read, the mayor's got to read the reason.
We're going into executive session to the appointment, employment, or compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee or employees, the public body, or legal counsel for the public body. Discussion of the minutes of the meetings lawfully disclosed under the OMA, whether for purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by section 206.
Motion by trustee Hudson, second by trustee Sluse.
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Sturba?
Yes.
Trustee Hudson?
Yes.
Trustee Bowden?
Yes.
Trustee Richards?
Yes.
Trustee Sandberg?
Yes.
Trustee Sluse?
Yes.